Hi, my name is Bentzy Goldman. I'm the founder of Perflo, and thanks for joining us. Today we're going to talk about leveraging people data to increase project success. So we know that there's a high failure rate of projects, costing companies billions of dollars every year. Now, this is an alarming statistic, but if you've worked in big projects, you know that this is the reality. This is not a statistic. So the question is why? Why are there such high failure rates? There's been improvements of methodologies, new ways of doing things, with a promise that this is going to bring project success, this is going to move the needle. But still today, we're seeing these high failure rates. Whether you define failure or success as it was on budget, it was on time, or whether you define it as it achieved the business impact and the outcomes that we desired, which is how you should be measuring it. Now, we know that project-based work and project teams is only growing, and the world of work is only going to be project-based in the next 5-10 years. So there's never been a more critical time to fix the way that we execute projects and to increase success rates using new methods and finding ulterior ways to measure and increase project performance. So let's look at how it's done now. So most people measure projects according to three things. This is the triple constraint. You have scope, cost, time. Now, you'll recognize that these things are actually measuring progress, things that have already happened in the past. And if you look at it, you can have a project that has gone over budget and delivered late, but achieved unbelievable impact, and vice versa, a project that was delivered early on budget but had zero impact. So the way that we're measuring projects, at the moment, it's outdated. There needs to be an improvement in the process, and we believe the missing piece is the people. Who's executing the project? Who's managing time, cost, scope? Who's driving the outcomes? It's the people. So why are we neglecting the people? The people on the ground driving the project, not the tools, not the process, the methodology. And if you ask project managers and project leads, they know this. The issues that come up in a project that could derail the project, it's all around people. It's all around managing people, communication, support, stakeholders. And so you can fund a project and keep putting in budget, resources, but if the team is not the right team, if they're not set up for success, the project is doomed to fail. So we believe the missing piece to all of this is people data. And we're not talking about health check here and there or post-project review. We're talking about throughout the project, continuously measuring, driving engagement. And this is a shift in mindset, we understand. This is a new way of approaching it. But it's a system that we really need to focus on the people and integrate it into the process, into the methodologies that we already use. And this is not a theory, a hypothesis. This is actually proven. This is actually just not implemented. And so the research suggests this. Why aren't we driving this? Why aren't we being purposeful about it, setting up teams for success from the very beginning? And again, if we look at the data that we have now, everyone likes to look at the data from the tools and say, we have an exact view of what's going on because these are numbers. This is cost, this is hours, capacity, and so this must be the truth. But who's putting in the data? People are putting in the data. The tools aren't utilized the same. There's a lot of bias in this data. There's optimism bias, fallacy, planning fallacy, and so we believe this is progress data. It's not performance data. And what you need is a more holistic approach. This is critical data to have, and it's very important to measure it and keep a pulse on it, but there's a missing piece. And the shift that we're talking about is much more focused on the people. It's much more proactive, it's holistic, looking at everything on the ground, looking what's happening across the board, not just a reporting line from one person, not just one set of data. So what we've done is we've merged the different research pieces, the design technologies of different tools, taken the best thing, incorporated it, and designed a system exclusively for project teams. There's loads of systems for functional teams, individuals, but team-based, project-based, there's nothing designed exclusively for project teams. And this is where the need is. This is where the high failure rates is, the high cost of failure. And so we need to focus on this right now as the world shifts into project-based more and more. And so this new approach that we talk of is actually a blend of the two. So we're taking quantitative data and qualitative data. And now what we're doing is looking holistically across all these pieces of data, and of course the more data sources you have and the more variables you have, the more accurate the results of that data. And so now this is a much more powerful way of looking project performance. And this is a trend that's happening in the marketplace, in the industry. It's not something brand new. If you look at for instance, SAP acquisition of Qualtrics. SAP has operational data. Qualtrics has experience data. SAP thinks this is worth $9 billion. Of course we do as well, because we understand the importance of blending quantitative, qualitative, connecting the dots to understand the why, not just the what, not just the how. And we do this on a project-by-project basis. So if you think of people analytics on an organizational level, what's driving performance, engagement, what's not, where we can improve, where we can focus on, imagine it on a project-by-project level. Imagine that project leads have access to this data as close to real time as possible, so they can spot bottlenecks, blind spots, and take action right away. On a bigger picture level, the entire organization now has data across all projects, which is immensely valuable. And so the question is, what are we measuring and what are we trying to drive here? Of course, increase project success, but what are we basing this off? So there's decades and decades of research, and we've looked at this. Two core pieces: what makes a high-performing team, and what are the critical success factors in project failure or success. We know this. The research is there. The experience is there. People know this, but it's about driving it. It's about looking throughout the project at each stage. Where are we? Where's the team? Where's the low area where we could pinpoint and we can take action and make sure that the project stays on track? The team is engaged. The team is aligned. And focusing on that people part of it will really help to increase the probability that the project will be successful. Now, when you get all this data on projects, and you now can look at correlations and understanding the why behind performance, both low and high, you want to see what works. And you want to drive that across the board. You want to see team dynamics. You want to see both soft and hard metrics. And then you want to look across the organization and see, okay, where can we focus on? Which areas can we improve on? And yes, you can include HR in this process, 100%, you should. Team development, leadership development. But what our approach is, the people that are leading the teams on the ground, they should have access to the data now. They can make the difference, they can move the needle. And of course, the faster they have access to this data, the more impactful it can be. They can make decisions faster, they can remove bottlenecks. And so what we want to do is help project leads to identify issues that relate to the people, that relate to the project, as close to real time as possible. We want a holistic analysis of project performance. We want to include the team. We want to be proactive about it. And we believe this will be the next leap in increasing project success rates. Keep the methodologies, keep the processes, and keep that quantitative data. But there's a missing piece, another layer of data, which we believe people data will be the thing that moves the needle across projects across the world. And thank you to Innov8 work for People and Computers for doing such a great job with this conference and bringing together thought leaders and ideas. There's amazing things happening in the future of work now. This is the time to be innovating, this is the time to be experimenting, and it's a very exciting time. So thank you again, and it's our honor to be a part of this event. Bye-bye.